Unmute. Hello, book club. Hello. Welcome. Wait, do we do a yay? Come on, like yay. Where's like a yay? You know what I'm talking about, like a yay. I had to do it myself.
Hello, what have we here?
We have book club. Welcome to Maude's book club. This is a online sci-fi fantasy book club that's been going for a little while now. It was the first sort of like version of this was way back at the December 2013, and it is now September 2023. I still like books. Go figure. This book club's pretty neat. We have merch. Maude's book club. That's gonna be a good gift. Avery, look at you, 16 months. Thank you for giving me pesos. We are doing this on Twitch. We are live at the moment. There's some cool little housekeeping. We got merch, moresbookclub.com/store. If you want to check out all the cool designs we've got for that. I was wearing a sweater. My aircon has been broken for a week. And I was like, I'm flirting with the devil if I have a sweater on in this show. Got lights happening. I would likely pass out. Mainly because we're talking about some burbs. No, if you want to check out the merch, you can. Zaiden, you're wearing the exclusive merch tier merch. Oh, so are you, Lisa? Do you like it? How is it? Oh, it looks fantastic. So it's like a dragon tarot card, which you can't buy unless you're in the merch tier on Patreon, which is pretty spiffy. They look fantastic. If you want to check out some of the Patreon tiers, head over to patreon.com/modsbookclub. We've got access to all of the Discord, double entries for giveaways, and we do regular giveaways. We're doing one at the moment. Gary Whitta's got a brand new book. Gary Whitta has written a book called Gundog. This is a review copy, but this is the book that you can order. Oh, it's nice. He's going to sign 5 copies of this. And if you're a Patreon backer, you get 2 entries. If you're a merch member, you get 3 times the entries, which is really cool. A lot of our Patreon backers have been picking up some free books, which is great. Hey, Zelda, I think that was me. You did good, but that was actually me making that noise. Have you got hair in your neck? Come here. We also have access so that you can join in the discussions live. There is a Discord call at the moment with all videos on, so that's pretty cool. We got faces happening here. It's also the quietest Members Plus room has ever been. Now, I know Regards Darren usually comes in the second half of the chat, but like he's read the first half of the book. Who else has read the first half of the Terry straight away? Terry's just like, ooh, doo, 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 doo. Yeah, you finished the book, didn't you? Who stopped halfway? Lisa did, Zaiden did, Avery did. Robin looking a little sheepish there with your cat butt in the picture. There is a cat's butthole, and then you being like, with your own little cat's butthole. Ooh. You finished the book, did you? So that's something that we're going to talk about, the fact that once you start, you cannot stop. Will Post says, I almost stopped halfway. Vectrex says, greetings all, just passing through on the way to some Starfield. After this show, I'm probably going to fire that up for the first time. Chris says, read it all. Ooh. And also said, don't knock on books because Zelda will attack. Yep. Didn't get that right. Toaster Poster saying that this is modern fashion. Very clever. I love puns. Vaden said, yeah, it's super comfortable and looks amazing. About the merch, tier exclusive merch. Avery says, I just ordered my Halloween shirt today. It's just over there. I got a bit of Halloween merch as well. I love it. I'm going to try and wait till October mayhaps to wear it, but probably not. I'll take photos and put it online tomorrow. Bree Duss, first time chatter, says, I've got thoughts and opinions about this book. I can't wait to hear them all. Vaden, thank you so much. 35 months. Oh, wow. Who'd have thunk? 30, that's like 3 years next month. 3 years. 3 years. Okay.
3 great years.
Terry, 36 months. Thank you so much. Oh, wait, you've done 36. You've done 36. You hit 36. Happy 3 years. You're allowed to finish the book. Darren, I was just talking about you. Your ears must have been burning. Thank you for resubbing using your Prime for 19 months. Appreciate that. Jump on in when you get a sec because you also stopped halfway through, but you've read the book, which is great. It's just a little quiet, but I know people got thoughts on this book. Before we get stuck into it all, we are doing a bonus book. I just talked about the fact that you can win a copy of Gundog signed by the Gary Whitta. That giveaway is happening right now in the Discord. Jump on into the Discord. Again, if you're a Patreon backer, you get at least 2 to 3. There's a lot of cat butthole. Your cat is one of my favorites. It's like, where's the camera? Where's the cat? Where is it? Where's the cat?
He does like to present a lot.
So what's your cat's name?
Albus.
That's right. Damn it. Why do I ask every time? Why do I ask? Zaiden, look at that. That's so sweet. Gifting 10 subs to the community. Flying Cosmo got one. So did Raisin Ox, Boondagel, Jeff M, Cormac, Mr. Nisper, Tiny Kill, Will Knight, Pylang, and Sprinkles got one. Sprinkles couldn't make it tonight. He's got a comedy show. How cool is that? Hopefully we'll be able to see him in the after show though. Do you just kicked off a? Is that a hype train? Is that what that is, or is it like nearly a hype train?
That's there.
It is level 3. Yikes! Boondagel straight away saying thank you for the gift sub, Zaiden. Thank you for saying thank you. We love that. We love that kind of nice giving here. Okay, it's a real fun chat. Real quick. I was on set yesterday and someone on set that I was in a vicinity of has tested positive to COVID. And my little sick brain, what is it? Hypochondriac brain. Hey, we got another one. You made it. Hello, Jay Buntruck. My hypochondriac brain thinks that I'm immediately infected with COVID. I might not get it, but like, I feel like I'm fading. So just a heads up that if I'm like not at 100% energy, it's because my brain is the devil. Okay, Frito, thank you for dropping some bits there. Appreciate you. So fourth wing. Have I got any more housekeeping that I need to do? We talked about merch. We talked about Gary's book. It came out 2 days ago. It's brand spanking new, hot off the press. If you want to win one, head over to the Discord. Most of the Discord's open. There's a cool little fun members only section. Patreon for that one. Oh, Fable. Fable's popping. We got double the Fable members because of this book. So let us know if you were over on Fable and that's how you found us. The last couple of days, went pretty comment heavy in these chapters on Fable. It was fun. Please follow us over there. It's a free app that has a range of book clubs on it. You can host your own book club. You can join book clubs. You can join Maude's book club. It's on there. You'll be able to see not only the chapter breakdowns where we can all comment per chapter, which is great for spoilers. And so you're not getting sort of spoiled on Discord. It's like a play-by-play. And it's like a good temperature check. A lot of the time I'll go to comment something and I believe one of them for this week was just shut up, Dain. And then I went on to Fable and Amanda Tass had written, just shut up, Dain. And I was like, yeah, like took the words right out of my mouth. So it's just kind of nice to know that we're on the same page. Crunchy Hairball says, I've never heard of that. Free app. They don't pay me any money, but I do like what they are about, not only because they're free and not only because I want a bunch more followers on there. Please, we're a really cool sci-fi fantasy book club. Why would you not? What I really, really respect is that you can sample like the first 4 chapters of any book like an e-reader. You just click it and you can sample it. And I think if you do buy an ebook through there, you can share notes that are made like on a Kindle. I think someone was excited to do that for the second book for this one. How cool is that? Lisa said I started listening to the Audible for Gundog. K Frito says I'm listening to Gundog. I love it. You can get a copy of the audio version of Gundog absolutely free wherever you get your podcasts. I'm listening to it on Spotify. There's 9 episodes, which is basically the whole book broken down. Shannon Woodward does an amazing job narrating this book. I think I've got like 1 chapter left, 1 episode left. So I sped through that. I feel like I blinked and like I was done with the book. I was done dog. but not yet. Oh, I saw Avery laugh at that. I said it and then I glanced to see because I was waiting for someone to be like, no, that's bad, Maude. And usually that's Zaiden. Zaiden will be kind of like just like slight. Yeah, there it is. Just like, Lisa's on episode 6. We're going to be having a Q&A with Gary Whitta on the 20th of September. I believe that is next Wednesday, 5 till 6 p.m. PT right here. So if you're not following along, now's the chance to do it. If you've got any questions and you are a member, we're going to be getting some really cool Gundog questions compiled for Gary as well. Devant Rock says, I'm on episode 3 of Gundog. I'm listening on YouTube. But thank you so much for subscribing for 21 months. A month for every year I am. Isn't that sweet? Oh, why is that funny? Why are you laughing, Devant Rock? I'll tell you why. Because I'm not 21. I'm 23. Alrighty, fourth wing. First thing I like to do is go around the chat. Lofa, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate you. Welcome. We're chatting Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. We're going to talk a little bit about what the dang book's about. And then I want to hear from my Plus members. Give me a little line about what you like and how you're feeling. We don't do scores just yet. That'll be next week. But what you're feeling about it. But let me tell you a little bit about Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. All right. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the scribe. The scribe quadrant. Dyslexia can be so fun. I was going to say the scribe. Squadrant. That's how that was going to come out. Hey, Robin, I just saw that comment. You're rounding up. Are you rounding up? Are you rounding up? It's funny. No, she was like, I was being generous. Anyway, she was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books in history. Okay, stop there. That should be the book. How would that not be the best thing? Give me that scribe life. I'm sorry, in the library, you say? Recording history? Oh, that doesn't sound bad at all. Now, the commanding general, who's also known as her tough as Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre, the Dragon Riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. That's a direct quote. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success, get rid of the weak. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Zaiden like Zaiden Ryerson. Zaiden Ryerson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Do we feel the tension of that ever? We'll talk about it. And yet every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly. The kingdom's protective wards are failing and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to... Nope. Even worse, Maude can't say. Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Bisgayath War College has an agenda because once you enter, there are only two ways out. You graduate or you die from lots of or you just die. Or you die. That was a Goodreads little synopsis about the plot. Now, with that in mind, chat, let me know what you're thinking. Got a couple of comments here. Chris says, it's tropish, but I enjoyed the world building. Avery says, fully agree. Who needs scary hot men when you can hang out with old books all day? Preach. Vaden says, I'd love if the book had two narrators, one for violent training as a scribe and someone else, whether it's Rhiannon or Zaiden, as a dragon rider. We would get to see so much more of the world. That's so interesting, actually. Breeder says, the Fourth Wing audiobook narrator was reading like rent was due the next hour. Bree, you can stay. That's one of my favorite comments I've read in some time. The fourth wing audiobook narrator was reading like rent was due the next day. She was acting. The fourth wing audiobook narrator, I never like to talk too much smack about real life people because she got paid to do the job and they chose her, and that is a win. It did, however, sound like she was fighting a cold. Who listened to the book? Who was listening? Okay. Thierry, Vaden, Lisa. How did you find the narration?
It was okay. I didn't really have too many problems with it. It just wasn't standing out or anything.
Yeah, it was okay. I had at 1.2 and it was going pretty good.
And Lisa?
Yeah, I didn't notice anything with her voice because I listen really fast. So it probably sounds different to me than it does to you. But there's parts in it where I was kind of like annoyed by her voice. But overall, it's not too bad.
It took me a hot second. It took me about 4 or 5 chapters. Chris says, I did it. It was okay. It didn't bother me. I could tell what character was speaking. It just was a bit telenovela sometimes. Like it was, especially in the first few chapters. I think I remember writing on Fable, like, is everyone just screaming at each other? It just sounded incredibly dramatic. Crunchy Hairball says, me same. I didn't like the dragon voices. What do you mean you didn't like the dragon voices? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that wasn't what Tan's voice sounds like. Bree says telenovela is perfect. She really leaned into the emotional lines that Violet had. Vaden says not wrong. Hiyoko Mandu, hello, says I listened at 1.2 speed, but it's definitely quite dramatic. I was at 1.5 and then 1.7 for my second read through. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the first half of this book. Who wants to go first? Give me your thoughts as if you were a scribe making history on parchment. Who wants to go first? Robin, just because you're making that face, I'm going to choose you. She's like...
Rude. Overall, liked it. I actually really like Violet because I think she has EDS, which
What's
is
that?
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Where,
I've got that.
Yeah?
So my understanding of Ehlers-Danlos, I think that's what it is. I wrote it in my phone one time because a doctor was like, I think you've got that. And I was like, why? Why would we say that? It turns out all my cousins have got it as well. Ella. How do you spell it again?
EHLERS.
Ehlers-Danlos. That's literally, look at my notes. That's it. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is usually fair-skinned, fair hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin. So that's like who it usually affects. But you have, I mean, if we're not talking about the same thing, you let me know. But you know how I'm like super flexible? Like if you're extra bendy, that's like one of the things. And another thing is that your skin's just like a little bit more loose. Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah, that's some of the symptoms. There's a lot of comorbidities with it. So a lot of other things can go.
Like what? I'm learning real time.
So I have a friend that has it, and she actually, part of her brain went through like the back of her skull, like started seeping down, and so she had to get brain surgery. And then she has like her spine fused as well because she has no cartilage back there. She's a big old mess. She'll be the first to admit it.
I'm gonna have to look more into it. I thought it was just like a little bit more surface level instead of brain leaking out the back of your skull. So that'll be a really cool exercise for me to learn about. Just linked an article in the show chat, says Vaden. Just gonna take. I mean, I don't know if it's that. There's like a picture of them pulling the skin down, but I feel like I'm getting there. Getting there. Ehlers-Danlos. That's fun. Stretchy, velvety skin, abnormal scar formation. Fun. I don't think I'll go back to that doctor that I saw that decided to tell me that. Fatal Flower said exactly the same thing. Oh, the audiobook narrations felt very angsty. But then also said, fun fact, Rebecca Yarros has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So the author's got it. So maybe that's why she was bringing it in. Kay Frida says, it doesn't sound like fun. Jay Barton Rock says, one of the symptoms is unusual attractance to Zaidens. Fuck. Well, I guess I've got the symptoms. Oh no, Ehlers-Danlos. That's my Danlos. Maude calling on Robin like she's the student hiding from the teacher. Yes. Yep. Hold on, Nerd Boy says the edits and replaced audio are extremely noticeable, but the content makes it okay. Oh yeah. It's like it'll be like a random line. And she fell off the dragon. and then it's back up here. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I agree with that one. Thierry says it feels like a CW teen drama show sometimes. Yes. How did they pronounce Tan's full name? Tell me what Tan's full name is and I'll try to remember. I only said it once. And then it just became Tan again. When did I swear? When did I swear, K. Frito? When did that happen? I don't even notice that I do it. It's my Ehlers-Danlos. Filthy mouth. Lisa's like, Maude, no. Stop. Terranok. Terranok. Got it. Terranok. Okay, that took me a sec to get there. I just swore. All right. Thank you, Blado BC. And Registratus, thank you for subscribing using your Prime. I appreciate that. Robin, what else? What else are your thoughts?
The first half, there was a lot of Violet longingly staring at men, which was awkward and weird.
Yeah.
I kind of just glazed over that though because I was having fun with the rest of the book.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that. Who else has thoughts about the first half of the book? Yes, Zaiden.
Sure. So yeah, like I kind of enjoyed the trend of, or like the way the schedule they had for the students. Like, you know, they had the parapet, they had the session where they're fighting each other on the mat, and then they move on to the like ninja course, and like I like the progression of it, how they train different skills, and like it was kind of clever, some of it, but. And then the biggest thing that I got into was the world building for the dragons. Like Dragon Society itself is quite
Very
interesting,
cool.
like their hierarchy and like the powers they have that they bond with their writers. The fact that the writers have their own unique power, and the powers seem to be. They said this thing interesting. They said that the powers were mostly on the humans. Like the humans are the ones who kind of cannot pick their powers, but it's based on their personality. It's based on who they are rather than the dragons, really.
Interesting. I kind of wondered more about that, and I didn't pick it up the 2 times that I read it because I was like, why would any dragon give someone an illegal power just so they get killed? Like,
Yeah, the intrinsic stuff. Yeah, just like here,
I was like,
dead.
that's so cruel. But they're like, I'm bored. I'm gonna give this guy mind reading power and just ruin his day / end his life. All right, that makes more sense. Breeder says Lord Commander Mother Serengale is definitely not winning any parenting awards for forcing Violent into Murder College. Can anyone relate to having an overbearing parent that's forcing them into doing something that they... Nope, everyone's shaking their head. No. Zaiden, you're saying yes?
To some extent, not anywhere near this extent. Obviously, I'm not being sent to murder college, but like...
When did you die?
no. Well, I might be a ghost. I don't know.
Oh.
But actually, no. I have had like parents definitely tried to force me a number of times to certain career paths. You know, like a lot of kids in my community, they try to get to do the whole, you know, go be a doctor or go be a lawyer, any of those like high status jobs. And I'm like, that's not really for me. I tried to become a doctor. I think at some point I was interested in that, but And then went to school for that to some degree for a few years. But I'm like, no,
You
this
did
isn't
medical
right.
school?
Yeah, well, not actually medical school. I just did like the undergraduate stuff. Basically, I bit transferred as a junior, and then I'm like, no, this is not it for me.
I don't know. I mean, different strokes for different folks, absolutely. But I was really having a big think about that today, where it's like there's something about sort of like being a doctor and the culture behind that, where it's like, this is the book that I was listening to called Outlive, and it's written by a doctor. And he was saying about the health hazards where he would work sort of like over 48 hours straight. And I'm here thinking, if these are the people that are supposed to save lives, they need the most sleep out of everyone. I just couldn't believe that staying up for copious amounts, like sleeping at the hospital, working. He said he worked something like 120 hours a week. Whatever it was, I did the math and it was like 17 hours a day. 17 hours they were on, like, in a shift. I just think that's so dangerous.
Yeah, it is for sure. I mean, that's a definitely very, very extreme case, but like I know a lot of doctors do work kind of crazy hours sometimes, and like they, it's kind of strange how much of them rely on just like lack of or basically are going on like a low amount of sleep, and especially when they're doing things like I said are very precise and very require a lot of like thinking and a lot of accuracy. They can't screw it up really,
Yeah.
but they kind of just end up working through those things. It's I mean, yeah, Tim knows. Tim doesn't sleep. He just works all the time.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think that's like one broken thing in the system where it's like, I don't know how that worked. Nerd Boy 5280 getting their thoughts in. I hope the second half gets a little sexier. One passionless kiss was not enough. Thierry, who's read ahead, is dramatically saying in the video, sounds like you're going to get your wish, Nerd Boy. How exciting. My thoughts on the first half of this book, and then we'll continue gaining and getting more thoughts from everyone too. Aubrey works in a hospital and has seen it firsthand. Whew. Yeah, they need to get paid way more and have a lot more time off. Anyway, they earned it as well. Like 7 years of med school. Goodness me. Doesn't even stop. And then they've acquired so much debt by the time they actually hit the workforce. I think if you want to be a doctor, you should be able to study for free. Like, you're helping people. We need doctors. Sleep, study for free. It's so backwards. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. About the book, Fourth Wing. Listen, my first listen through, I was eating it up. The first about 3 or 4 chapters, I was like, okay, info dump. I cannot picture my protagonist. I can't visualize anyone or anything. I have so much information coming. The audio narrator is just a little bit nasally. It sounds like she's fighting a head cold. Like, this is a Violet Sorega. That's not fair. And then I think it was around the time when she got her arm broken, but when they were on the mats and they were having to like fight, and it started building really good pacing, and then it just took off and didn't slow down. And I blinked and it was chapter 20 and I had to stop. But I really loved some of the pacing. The second listen through, where I started getting quite critical with it all, there's some problems. Now, I kind of want to preface by saying, if you want to enjoy this book, switch that part of your brain off, because it's not going to be as fun. And I think this book has the potential to be a fuck ton of fun. That's where I swore. I'm starting to realize it a bit better now. Coming in it with a critical eye, I have so many issues with tone, with the pacing, with making the stakes so extreme and having 0 people experience those stakes. I wanted it to be a lot like, I think if you made it the tone a lot more like Red Rising and kind of wove in sort of a little bit more YA and romance through that, through desperation, through fear. But to me, it just didn't make sense often that you've got students that are going into a college knowing that like 50% of people aren't going to make it. And this is the same as Red Rising. 50% of the people that are in this academy are not going to make it. You need to kill someone to live. You need to survive. You need to do what it takes. You need to be ruthless. It is brutal. They will execute you without question if you step out of line. Weakness is not tolerated. Oh my God, but his freaking six-pack. I know I could die, and I know that someone could kill me right now, but can we just like, please appreciate the 8-pack and the jawline? And just like, by him not doing anything, I think I'm absolutely in love. Oh my God, he smells like mint. Oh my God, he's about to actually decapitate me, but like the smell of mint and linens and leather is like really doing it for me. It just didn't make sense the second time through. And I don't want to shit on this book because I actually had so much fun reading it the first time. I really did struggle to stop, and I could have read the entire thing. My advice is read this book once. Just once. Because it just stopped making as much sense. And I wonder how much more brilliant this book could be if it was just a little bit more grown up and mature in the themes that it's trying to portray. I wish it backed its own plot. I wish it had an accurate depiction of the stakes instead of it feeling like failing 9th grade history. You know what I mean? So that's. But what did I like about it? I really liked the tests. I really liked the dragons. I really liked the world building. I found the pacing of this to be fantastic. As soon as it hit its stride, it kept going and going and going, and I was hooked. I wanted to learn more about the signets that people were getting. I wanted to learn more about the powers. I wanted to learn so much more about the different types of dragons. There were some times where I was like, I think your students aren't interesting. Every time, actually that's not fair, don't work in extremes. 85% of the time a student talks, I wish they would just shut the fuck up, because it didn't make sense either. I want to know about the dragons way more. They're your interesting characters. I want to have a realistic setting of life-threatening dragons, of nearly dying every time you wake up, having your arm broken by another person. That's no joke. We are literally facing fear and trauma and sacrifice and death and survivor's guilt and all of these really, really real emotions, and they just got glossed over. All right, that's my 2 cents. Lisa, I'd love to hear from you.
I'm enjoying it. I have only read the first half, but this book is kind of like candy, just you enjoy it when you have it, and you probably won't think about it later. But I like it. I think it's fun, and I really love the dragons, and I'm excited to see where the story goes with them later. But yeah, there were a few parts. I shouldn't say few. A lot of times that I was rolling my eyes at, her just, oh my God, he's so hot.
Oh my God.
It comes off very young. They're supposed to be
She's
like
20.
in their 20s. Yeah, and it comes off very young.
This is a war college. They have all had first-hand experience with war. I don't think it needs to go full Red Rising tone, because that's a heavy read and that was a lot for all of us. I just think if you kind of split the difference a little bit more, it would add to the gravitas of what all of this is. And I think it would actually make so many things so much more cooler, because the stakes are really there. Jay Buntrock, how are you feeling the first half of this book? Did you read ahead? Did you read ahead?
No.
Okay.
No, I stopped at 20. Yeah, you know that game, the like, love, hate, and then hate that I love? I put that in the, it's a strong word, but my brain's like, you shouldn't be liking this because there's so many issues in the book, but then you're like, oh, it's fun, I'll keep reading.
Yeah.
And then, like when they got to the gauntlet that seems to be ripped directly from the Ninja Warrior TV show, I was like, oh, this is so stupid. But then I just kept reading. And,
this is stupid. I love it. This is stupid. More. Yeah.
But
once you get to
Yeah, once you get to the dragons, you're like, oh, I'm on board. I'll take flight.
True, true. Avery, you are more of the second read version of me, and I think you actually helped sort of plant the seed and opened my eyes a little bit when I did that second read. But I'd love to hear from you what you thought of the first half of this book.
Yeah. So I have not really been having fun with it like everyone else is, because to me, the tropes make it so predictable that it's boring. Like, I've guessed almost every single thing that's happened in this book, and I even had a friend who knew nothing about it read the description, and she also guessed everything that happened in the book just from reading the description in Goodreads. So, so for that, like, there's like no stakes at all for me, because I can literally read it and be like, oh, this is gonna happen, then it'll happen 2 pages later. I'm just like, okay, whatever.
I've loved your fabled dissecting, by the way. It's like, oh my god, how did you know? You've been telling him for 3 full pages. I loved your insert on some of these moments, because you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong.
Yeah, oh yeah, that one really irritated me. I'm like, what have you been talking about for the past 3 pages, if not the fact that you're trying to run away, ma'am?
Yeah. How did he know?
But all the side characters are so cookie cutter that when one dies, they're immediately replaced by somebody else with the exact same personality and a different name. Like, Riddick has the exact same personality as Dylan.
Which one was Dylan?
He was their first friend who died on the parapet, like, almost immediately.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they got to the other side and then introduced Riddick, who has the exact same personality as Dylan and fills the exact same role that he did.
Yeah,
And,
interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder again where it's like, if the focus is going to be on the stakes, then the whole tone needs to shift. But if it's just merely like you didn't pass the test, go home, then that lighty flighty would work. But you're right, when you're churning through characters like this, we are getting quantity and not quality. So that's interesting feedback too. Any other thoughts? You're on a roll. Oh, still muted somehow.
Earl?
I got raided and I got scared. I got scared. The raid noise just came through. 1 second. Thank you, Steph Woodburn, so much for raiding into Maude's book club. We're chatting about the very, very popular Fourth Wing at the moment. Can we give Steph a shout out? What were you just up to? And a big hi to Steph's community as well. This is the Maude Squad. It works better in an American accent. I do apologize. We are talking about the first half of this book. Faden's dropping some subs. Thank you so much. But what? Oh.
James Bunrock.
Oh, there it is. I scrolled the wrong way. James Bunrock did that. Thank you so much, James. I'm so sorry. You like watched in real time. You're like, that ain't it, Maude. Adamant, that guy Toj, Alvac, not Kevin, not Kev, and Freddie, K-Stubbs, Metal Chinos, Polly Jub Jub. That's a great name. Look, it's like a kid's television character. I'm Polly Job Job. Music Man and JTE, you all just got gifted a sub. Thanks to Jay Buntrock. If you're in the comments and you got gifted a sub, please thank Jay Buntrock for that one. I'd appreciate that. We are just getting Avery's thought about a particular part of the book, and then I'll read some comments out. If you've read the book, let me know. If you haven't read the book and you want to stick around for 30 seconds, let me know what book you're currently reading. Avery, over to you. I hope you've still got your train of thought. Yep.
Yeah, the world building, like the history, being just info dumps while she is about to die. I did not retain any of that information. My eyes glazed over it. Did not care. I was like, she's literally on like a pole in the sky and it's raining. I don't care.
Yeah, that's not the time for the reader to consume. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Where's the lie? We've got some great comments coming in here. Kane says, we keep hearing how smart I just blanked on her name, the Mick is, and yet the world building is fun. Kane, did you remember who the character is? I'd like to make sense of your comment. We keep hearing how smart she is.
I think they were talking about Violet.
Violet. Yeah, how smart she is. And yet, ... Yeah, she sounds so dippy ditzy when it's like, when she goes into that headspace. And like, for us girls that have had crushes on boys when they were 20, I'm not sure. I had that kind of crush when I guess I was like 15, but 20, I think it changes a bit when you're 20. In 20, you like want relationships, but I've never been in a life or death situation and been like, well, better get a crush and see if they like me. Actually, I think I have been in a life or death situation, and that did not cross my mind. I think blankness crossed my mind. Really bad turbulence. Thought I was going to die. Everyone's butts were out of their seats for like a while, like seconds lifted out. It's because we dropped and the things came down and someone's screaming the Lord's Prayer, and I was just calm. And that's why I think I'm okay with death. But I was not going, oh, I just thought that like Danny from the 9th grade was like so hot and I missed out. That's my 2 thoughts again. Stephen, hello there. Says basically every place treats their trainees like crap. But not with Maude's book club, we don't. Avery reminds us, and me especially, Maude, I have a literature degree. You don't get the fun glazed over first read because you've already got the built-in goods. Will Post says, agreed, I can't read with a critical eye. Kane said, so agreed. Crunchy Hairball says, yes, repetitive language, teenager thinking, etc. Kane said they could have made the first book the entire first half with better pacing and character development. Lisa says, I definitely don't read critically, but even I'm rolling my eyes a bit, to which Will Post said, +1, Lisa. Thierry's even saying they're older here than they are in Red Rising. And that's a really interesting comparison. And I'm glad you brought that up because that has just like gobsmacked me. Tim says, so sounds like I'm glad I couldn't find a copy of this book then. No, the book's still fun. The book is still fun. We're really going over this because it's a book club and so we're putting a bit of a critical lens on it. Avery says the characters are so cookie cutter that when a character dies, they're immediately replaced by someone with the same personality, just different name. Kat NJP, first time chatter, says, I love the world she built, but this is a less well-written A Court of Thorn and Roses, the second book. Now, Zaiden and I have been talking about some of the similarities between A Court of Thorn and Roses and the characters in this book, and it is very copy-paste sometimes, especially, but I didn't notice it straight away. It didn't smack me in the face, but when you said it, I was like, oh, how could I not see that? Bree says there was some unnecessary plot armor being worn, if we're being honest. Literally. She's literally wearing the plot armor with dragon scales in it. Vaden says, I did enjoy how Violet dealt with the challenges as someone who wasn't trained for it at all. It allowed Violet to come up with some clever strategies. Agree. And I think they could have like leaned into this a little bit more. She's not the tallest. She's not the biggest and brawniest. Her best friend, Dain, who we'll get to, does not believe that she will even pass a test and she's guaranteed to die should she walk this path. He thinks that she is so severely incapable that I want to smack this man. But yeah, she's thinking outside the box. I kind of wish we saw how and why she knows so much. She's born into this. Her mother is a general, isn't she? A general? She's someone so high up. She, Violet, thank you so much for the follow, Bulk, yeah. Violet has basically moved from encampment to encampment with Dain because they're following Mum's war path. Like she's witnessed it firsthand. And I kind of wish she took it more seriously because she's seen war, like she's grown up with it, and it was not so like, oh yeah, I just like break my bones every now and then, but like whatever, I get them put back together. It's like, no, I've nearly died. I can't afford to have a broken arm because it's going to cost me, and I'm 10 times more likely to die, and that's a problem. I'm starting to rant again. Toaster Poster says, I don't understand why Violet cares what her mum thinks. I don't understand the stakes or what Violet ultimately wants. You sort of see Violet's purpose start to change in this. Terry, hold on. You loved this book. What's your first half of the book thoughts?
First half, yeah, it took me about 10 chapters to get into the story. It was really long. Usually I give it like 3 chapters and I decide if I drop the book or not, but I'm glad I stuck this one up. Yeah, there are some problematic stuff happening in a book, but once you like you said, switch it off, like just enjoy. It's like a bad movie that you like.
Yeah.
You know it's bad,
Yeah.
but you still like it.
You got to lean into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You lean into it, and yeah, I seen like all the training stuff, like the comparison with Red Rising, like they get thrown in and kill each other and stuff like that, but they are like 4 years older than in Red Rising, where they were like what 16, 17.
And most of them hadn't experienced sort of like the harshness of death before. Like, you know, they'd done Krav Maga or whatever, you know, like they've done some fighting moves, but they actually, some of them hadn't drawn blood before, like especially haven't killed anyone. But here it's like people took to killing and murder so fast. I'm going to kill her because I don't like her.
It's like Hunger's Game where District 1, 2, 3 are training, like they pick up kids to train for the battle, but then the other districts are like they have like they work, they have jobs, they're not picked up to train to fight and win a kill or die battle.
And what's the
for
biggest
pleasure
difference?
of everybody else.
Like the
But
ones
yeah.
that have to work have a sense of compassion, have a sense of teamwork. You know, they're real people and they want to save each other. And the ones that have been trained have a disassociation. They have lack of empathy. But it's just really tonally, it doesn't make sense to kind of have this incredible sociopathy of like, oh yeah, I don't like her, so I'm going to kill her. Or I'm holding this grudge, so I'm going to kill her. Or she's weak and we have to eliminate her, so I'll kill her. And then also having this incredibly lax, gossipy kind of attitude. They just don't live together. And yet that's the book.
Yeah. Also, the way the Violet thinks reminds me like well, you're too old to act like that. It's like you're like a 30-year-old actor trying to play a teenager in a CW show. Play your age.
Zaiden.
But yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention quickly about the whole issue with we were talking about why it's okay for them to kill each other, like, and why it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's one thing that's especially odd because they talk about it all the time. You know, you have to kill the weak link, otherwise the weak link will cause your team to die or something, or we'll let people down. But they just talk about it. They never show why. They never give an example. There's no evidence of this. It's literally just like, oh yeah, it's definitely true. Better kill everyone that you even think could be weak. And it's ridiculous, and it doesn't. And they really need to show like exactly why it was a problem in the past and why they ended up upset at it in the first place. But right now, it just seems like it makes no sense.
There's an extreme lack of fear. And there should be palpable fear at this academy where every one of your actions could cost you your life. And when they did the parading where they had to walk down so the dragons could analyze them, and they're just bitching about each other, when they know full well that a dragon could literally just snuff them out because they're not friendly or they're not kind, you know what I mean? And they just had no regard for their life. The actions didn't make sense for the environment that they've been placed into. Okay, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I'm going to read some more comments out. J Bunt Rock says it has the American Godzilla movie issues, less humans on screen and more kaiju or dragons in this case, please. Vaden says, I think Violet is just used to following the rules. I assume that by the end she's going to be far more defiant of her mother and make her own way. Avery says, I hate love triangles where both options suck. Yeah, do you want the shitty guy or the slightly less shitty guy? The guy who like is so hell-bent on the rules that it's costing him his like decency? Or the other guy who just killed 7 people and didn't blink? But he's so nice when he kills people. No. Bree says even people with awful parents still seek their approval from time to time. Vaden says deciding between the ethics of following the rules versus personal morality is a big theme of this book, which we will get into. Mainly the difference between Violet / Zaiden and do-good Dain. Will says dragons are the driving force of all the good parts of the book. Agree. Lisa says 20. Yes, 20 is young, but she comes off very high school teen young. Bree says, one thing that really took me out of the book was the use of the actual regular calendar. You ride dragons and you gave magic, but it's November. Make it make sense. There were quite a few turns of phrases and things like that that also did that for me. The checks and balances was mentioned, and I'm kind of like, I don't think checks and balances was like a term, a ye olde term. There was like little things like that where I'm like, and I always say, I actually had this conversation with my brother, Dorizo, where he wanted to use sort of modern day language with insults. Like he wanted to be like, that's so fucked. And I was like, but that's a modernized language, in a fantasy setting. I was like, use your lore. Like, I really like it when they'll use like, when they'll, often it's a thing, but yeah, they'll use like the god as whoever the god is, like 9 hells or, saints, or it's like it's that version of, oh my God, etc. So like, yeah. And so that's kind of taken me out where they're like, oh my God, that's like fucked. But the dragon swoops down. Okay. Tonally issues. So I agree with you, Bree. Toast Poster says the gauntlet reminded me of Takashi's Castle or MXC. Yes, agree. Lisa says, and Dain annoys the hell out of me. We'll get into that. Trust me. Then we had the raid. I'm just catching up with the chat. The shout out. I loved Fourth Wing. I just finished it. Would love to chat with you about it sometime. And the way it's written, pure action cliffhangers. Billion6 says Aussie accents are great. You'll put hard R sounds in worlds with no actual R's in them, like hello. I like not having R's in words that should have R's, like water and beer. I don't think I add R's. I think I remove R's. R. A-H. R. Jake Buntrock says, I cringe every time Zaiden calls her violence. Oh, you are violence. Yeah. Boop. On the nose. Vaden says she does a bunch of smart things, but then some very dumb ones. For someone who's supposed to be the smartest person in her class, it's a bit surprising. Again, when you've got Tan, who's like the most formidable dragon, and she's immediately being like, no, I don't know, and like being annoying, and you're like, he's gonna stomp on you. And then like his patience with her. He just should have had a little nom-nom and just eaten her real quick. Crunchy's, go Vaden.
Oh, just the example, like the really dumb thing she did was surprising. Was like in the first class she was in, the mat class. She sees a guy like behind go to the mat with someone, get loose, and they're refused to yield. Gets his arm broken, I think it was. And she's like, that's a dumb thing to do. And then immediately after, she does the exact same thing. She chooses not to yield and gets her arm broken as well. I don't understand. Yeah.
And again, a broken arm when you're doing a series of physical challenges, and if you don't do it, you die. And if smart people don't make the same mistakes twice, everything is a learning lesson. That's what makes them smart. Robin says, look, it's a popcorn book. Avery also says, I don't understand why it's okay for them to kill each other. They just can't do it when they're sleeping. You're just like, why? You've got no other rules or respect for anything else. Lindsay, first time chatter, says, I'm really enjoying this book. Dain is a problem for me, but I do like that he's a character that she can prove wrong time and time again. Great first character. Lisa says, yes, and when she yells at him, it makes me want to cheer. Chris says, is it dragon ethics coming thought? What? Is it dragon ethics coming thought? Might be the next book, who knows? I'm not sure I understand that one. If you want to give me a little clarification. Terry says, Violet is like Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon, the runt of the litter that is thrown into dragon training by parents that think it's what they have to do. Avery says, I think it's at this point, someone could just pull out an iPhone and I wouldn't blink. I'm just gonna get my dragon boop boop beep beep boop. Yeah, dragon phone. That will drag on. Where is it? That will drag on. I had to do it myself. I beat you, didn't I, Vaden? I beat you at my own mockery. I'll take care of mocking myself. Yeah, that's okay. Chris says, ye old term. They are yelling badass very often in this book. The vocabulary is modern and youthful. J Bunt Rock says that's one of the big critiques of the book, that it uses modern language. But I think it's like as soon as that happens, you're like, okay, I have to suspend disbelief completely. And it's a modern day tale in a fantasy setting. New rules. Old rules out. New rules, OMG in. K. Frida says, not killing in the sleep makes sense. Don't fuck with their sleep. That is my only rule. Don't fuck with people's sleep. J. Bond Rock said, if Tan had an Apple Watch, that would be amazing. Mind you, Chris says, cell phone kind of is mind-to-mind communication. All right, now I've caught up completely. With the chat. Who hasn't given me their thoughts? J. Bunt Rock, we spoke to you. We got your thoughts. Vaden, we got your thoughts. Vaden's frozen, and it just realized, and it's creeping me out now. I just thought he was ready to tell me. Is he frozen for everyone else? Okay. Whoa.
Or he's practicing to be a mime.
I've watched too much Doctor Who lately for this to feel normal. This is like, oh no, his soul's gotten eaten and it's been uploaded into cyberspace. Okay, let's talk about some of the other things. There's a lot of characters in here. We've got Tan and Dana. We'll get into the dragon picking. She's in the second squad, the flame section of the fourth wing. I think someone commented way earlier going, what happened to the other wings? Where are they? What are they all doing? It's not explained. They just disappeared. Avery says, I don't mind fantasy books with modern settings if it's consistent. The Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas had phones and Instagram and stuff, but it was consistent with the story, so it worked. Oh my gosh, Vaden. Okay, good. Oh, you're back. Vaden, what happened? It was stuck on her face for so long.
I just lost the internet for like a minute.
Is that what happens when I freeze and lose internet?
Yeah.
I apologize, everyone. You were smiling, but you stayed smiling, so it was like... were you telling us your thoughts on the first half of the book?
Oh, I think I already did. But,
okay, good. Okay, good. Let's talk through some of the info overload. We've got the Biscayath War College. Why they're in the War College. The dragons. Who the dragons are and what they do, the relationship between the dragons and the humans, the relationship between the dragons and the griffins, the fact there are griffin. Are they griffins or griffiths? It's a griffin. It's a gryphon. It's a Y. They put a Y with the book, don't they? That's fine. That's fine. That bothers me, but when not listening to it, it doesn't. You get information about Mira, the sister, Brennan, the brother, the scribe father, the mystery lore book of fairy tales that no one's heard of all of a sudden, the kind of the fairy tales that no one else has heard of, the wyverns, the Veta, what are they called? There's a something that the venin that create the wyvern. There's a lot of information here. I guess my question is, how was the distribution of information for everyone? Avery says, General Sorengale married a scribe, but then suddenly has a problem with them? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. The dragons are the shadow government, says Bree. So that's what's interesting about this book, isn't it? The fact that the humans are starting to be sort of diplomatic or decide things. And it's like, doesn't matter. The dragons are going to tell us what it is. They're going to tell us how it rules. That is exciting because humans in this book suck. The dragons, however, are pretty freaking cool. You're learning about her childhood friend, Dain Atos. You're learning about do not go anywhere near. Stay away. If there is one thing I want to tell you, Violet, as your older sister that's been in the college, if there's one thing, it's stay away from Zaiden Ryerson. That's how it sounded in the book. 2 pages later, wow, he's the hottest man I've ever seen. Thank you, Avery. Perfect comment. Stargirl said, I was actually wondering about this. Thought that maybe the one general that can see the future saw something with Violet, so she needs to be a writer. Oh, see, that's interesting. That is the kind of prophecy trope that I could get behind because it would make sense. Where were you, Robin, when Rebecca Yarros was writing this book? We meet Jack Barlow, a first year who kills someone and breaks his neck and then really, really wants to threaten Violet Sorrengail with her life all the time. This is the other thing. Dude snaps a kid's neck for fun. Everyone's like, well, he died. Never mind. And then Jack's like, you're next, Violet. I just killed this guy who's 20 and your age. I'm going to kill you next. And she's like, that sucks. But that guy's really hot. You've got Garrett Tavis. He's a section leader and a dragon rider in the 4th Wing. You've got Professor Carr. I don't even really know about this. I'm reading off some of these things. I didn't. You've got Sigale, who is Zaiden's dragon. She sounds cool. I want more of her. I'm getting very Aragon and Seraphina vibes. Is it Seraphina? But she's nice. And this one, I like how tough she is. I just like the dragons. Okay, so some of the questions that I have. How did you find the exposition? What are your initial thoughts of the characters and the setting and the world building? The world building. Was it too much, too fast? You had to stick by a few chapters for it to kind of make sense. Do you like the world that we're in? Does that sort of side of it all make sense? Talk to me, chat. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, like, so the world building is interesting. The way they've shown it isn't the best. Like I said, like the reciting reciting like some of the history of the world while she's trying to survive. Like, it's an interesting way for Violet to, like, you know, to do the exposition and for her to show how she concentrates in a different way than everyone else. But like, it just, like I said, it's kind of hard to actually get the information and receive it properly. Kind of see people just kind of glaze over it. So I don't know. That part wasn't particularly amazing, but the dragon stuff is the most interesting stuff, especially the powers as well. And unfortunately, we don't know that much about the powers. We've only gotten very little information about them, seen them in action very little. And the one time someone got their power and I found out about it, they got their head snapped. So
yeah. But like, everyone knew about that one power, except we haven't really discussed. Anyway, that threw me a little bit. I've got some comments here. Kane saying, Violet doesn't seem to suffer any consequences for her dumb decisions. Agree. Bree says, I hate how the general was looking down at the scribes as if it wasn't, as if they weren't responsible for the creation of her renowned children. Agree. Crunchy says, you know, the sexual relationships were pretty realistic. There were no preachy abstinence attitudes. No, everyone was just so horny. Just don't screw one of the wing leaders. I mean, you can, but all right, did it. You've got Rhiannon, who's like very bi, and she's with Tara one second, and then she's with, was she with Riddick the next? I don't know. They're interchangeable.
Sawyer, I believe.
Sawyer. I think Riddick's gay, but would also sway there if she asked nicely. J. Bryant Rock says, the one thing I want to know is the success rate of unbonded killing a rider and then successfully bonding that dragon. They focus so much on it, but then don't set a precedence. Also, we have an inside look at Tan's response of Violet getting killed. Tan is the biggest, brashest dragon. And when people are trying to kill her, he's trying to save her life instead of being, instead of finding these soon-to-be murderers admirable. So is it just these dragons have such unique personalities that maybe one dragon admired bloody murder and then someone else doesn't? Exactly right, Jay Buntrock. There's no clear there's just like, it's just rumor and it's all talk, but it doesn't actually match what's happening. It's like they're saying one thing and then doing another. So I agree. Bree said, like Avery said, I didn't maintain a single thing from Violet's anxiety lore dumps. Yeah, it did not do what they thought it did. It wasn't helpful. Kane said, I'm excited for the world building. I feel like it needs better pacing to really draw me in, but I enjoyed what's been shared and how it's going on. Terry says, I just remembered I already did a fan casting on Discord for Fourth Wing back in August. Post it again or pin it or draw us back to that comment. I would love to see it again. Avery says, yes, this, when talking about Jay Buntrock's comment just earlier that we just discussed, especially with Tan, since it's well known that he doesn't bond. Oh my God, we just said it. Hey, Tan. It just made no sense with Tan. Since it's well known that he doesn't bond very often due to experiencing grief when his humans die. So how does that make sense? And that's known. And that's so well known. Make it make sense. Chris said, a school for dragon riding makes sense, but if you have a dragon, why do you need a dagger? Mostly when you can use magic too. It doesn't really talk about how they become soldiers. It's just how everyone dies. Lisa says, I feel like I need a little more of everything. The dragons are my favorite part, but I feel like I don't really understand the world. Toast Poster says the world building was a bit vague. An unending war. Dragons need riders for some reason, and then murder college is normal. Avery says, not just well known, they literally learned about it in school. Oh boy. Shortcut to the fan casting. Now I'm pretty sure if I press this button, nope, that's not that one. If I press, which one? This button, nope. Which is my magic button? Remember how I accidentally show everyone? Browse this, that's not it. Is this it? No. That was a magic button. Oh well, maybe I'll figure it out for next week, but you've got some pretty cool. Oh yeah, that's really good. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. That's some good fan casting. You did a really good job. I skipped way over that the first time because I hadn't started reading it. Oh, okay, we'll get there. Yeah, I had a magic button where if I pressed it, you could see what was happening in the Discord, and I don't know why it's not happening there. Vaden says, so many good questions, and hopefully we're going to have some answers in the next half. Joe Bunrock says, I use Sean Connery's voice in my head for Tan. That is so much better than what we're getting. That is so much better. Someone asked me a question as if I'm your dragon. Ask me anything. I'll answer. Say something. Anyone. I'm your dragon. What would you like to ask me? Go on, Tim. He's begging
What's for dinner tonight?
I'm glad you asked. We are going to get some sheep and I will roast it with my fire.
I thought you were going to answer like the dragon, not Christian Bale's Batman.
Oh, well, that's going to fucking ruin the rest of the read for me, isn't it? Every time Tan's going to talk, I'm going to picture...
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Where are the drugs going?
I'm Batman. Crunchy Hairball says that's exactly what it was like. Thank you. I tried. That actually hurt because I think I'm getting COVID. All right, so next questions that I've got. What were the turnoffs about these chapters? I feel like we really went through it with a fine-tooth comb. I feel like we have aired our grievances. I think Avery's got maybe 3 more things up her sleeve that she could gripe about. Darren, let me know when you're ready to chat and we'll get your thoughts. The first challenge was the parapet. They're climbing the stairs. Violet meets Rhiannon. Matthias offers to switch left boots so that they'd both have at least one boot with a good grip. Again, don't make friends. You can die. I'm giving you all these things so that you can win. She's like, I'm just going to half my chance. Violet, you're the smartest student I've ever come across. That's pretty fucking dumb, actually. I'm getting angry. I'm hearing it. I'm noticing that I'm getting more angry the more I talk about this. I think the book's fun. Maiden says, we don't have Miss Necromancer this week, but it looks like Avery has stepped up the sass. Bree says the horse is beat, but we kept beating our grievances out of it. Dave Rook says, don't talk yourself out of the book. I know. I actually have been enjoying it and I've wanted to read it, and I think it will be a lot of fun. I think it's the kind of book where it's like you just have to start and do not stop, and you just read that whole dang book and you enjoy that ride for what it is. When you turn back, you'll start looking at the trail that you were on, and you'll wonder why you took that path. But you're already at your destination. You just keep on walking. I think that's it. Is it chocolate time? Yeah.
Just turn your brain off.
I could have a chocolate. It is. It's an airport book. It's a comfy sick day book. It is not. How'd you find it, Darren? Hello, welcome.
I'm about. I think I'm more towards the Avery side than the loving it side. It read really easy, but yeah, definitely a lot of eye rolling. Definitely a little bit of the first 2 chapters in, and started to immediately dread the inevitable love triangle that is looming. But yeah, just some interesting stuff. Kind of wish it was written by somebody else and it wasn't so YAE/CWE. Thierry mentioned that, and that's exactly what I thought. It felt like a CW show. But I'm going to keep going, so I'm not going to stop. So
that's it.
I didn't have any issues putting it down either. I thought chapter 20 was kind of weak, so that definitely made it easier to stop. So
I found it hard to stop. I was on a roll with it. I really was. And then I went back and went through it again. And I was like, oh no, this is very different the second time through. And I do want to, give credit where credit due. Bree says some things are a one-time thrill. Chris says read, don't think, just read. Crunchy said, I did burn through the audiobook in 2 days. I never do that. And Bree said, same. Thierry's pointing at himself. Bartleby says the military shows a pretty strong lack of knowledge on what powers the dragons or the riders will impart. You'd think that they'd be doing a lot more work on cultivating that. So are they really bad at it or really good at hiding the information for generations? It felt less mysterious and more lazy. The military shows a pretty strong lack of knowledge on what powers the dragons or the riders will impart. You're right. There's a lot of chance, there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of, you'll figure it out. I think, yeah, that's interesting. Avery says, I wouldn't be surprised if it does get picked up either by CW or Freeform. Lisa says, this is Rebecca Yarros' first fantasy romance book. I'm not judging too harshly because she's normally just straight up a romance author. There you go. Good point. Kane says, I was more forgiving when I found this out post-read. Jay Buntrock says, no one had any idea the Golden Dragon was a hatchling or a toddler. Shows how much they don't know. But you're right. Like, this is the biggest part of their lives. So make it make sense. Which students stand out is one of the questions that I had. What do we think of the Academy? Which students stand out? Everyone went, and that's a thinking face. And if you have to think, they're not standing out. Do you have any interest in the classes or the teachers? Now, this is a part of fantasy that I actually really usually love. I love when you build out what the academy is. I really love learning the different classes and then pairing the teacher to the class with that necessary information whilst having sort of like the class student dynamic in that class. Sometimes it works in this book. I actually found myself really interested in learning about a real-time issue that they're experiencing, but they're bringing it to the first years to try and analyze and to understand. And we see Violet kind of put 2 and 2 together and get to the bottom of something, and she gets to shine in that moment. But seeing all the other first years and even third years start interacting in that way, I kind of love that classroom scene. I couldn't tell you a single... Kaoris is maybe a professor's name. I don't know what the classes are. I don't really know the teachers' names. The history, war tactics, fist fighting. There's history. There's dragon mastery. That's Kaori, I think. Is there like, there's the gym teacher? Is that Professor Carr? Is he like the gym teacher? No.
He's the scribe, I think.
Oh,
Check.
okay.
Car, one that's supposed to teach them how to use the magic once they
Oh,
gain it.
Dragon Power Teacher, says Darren. Yeah, you nailed it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've listened to this twice and I still don't really know. I don't think that's a good sign. But yeah, who has any interest in the classes or the teachers? Nope. Everyone's shaking their head. Terry, I like Liam the most. Oh, hold on. Robin, were you saying something? I can move on to that.
Yeah, I was going to say that I feel like they could have used the classes for more exposition instead of having Violet do the exposition. That would make more sense, especially introducing the history class. But then I think we were in the history class once and then never went back.
I think exposition's done really, really well to explain the exposition whilst also either building character insight, building character relationships. So a great example I would have loved in that moment, it would have been in history class, the teacher was starting to say, the first thing you need to know about the whatever this Bathagal college, what's it called? What college it is? What's it bloody called? Basgaia college is da-da-da-da. So the facts that Violet was spitting when she was having her anxiety lore dump, I wish the history teacher had started that, and then you hear Violet saying under her breath, finishing the sentence. Because not only are we in the headspace to listen to this information, but then we understand that Violet knows it off by heart. So that's character insight and information at the same time. But yeah, the way that we got exposition was difficult. Terry, you said you like Liam the most. Tell me about Liam.
He's a big softie, but he takes his place.
Now, isn't
He's
Liam
the
the guy
strongest.
that, yeah, he comes first? I think there was a great line describing Liam where it's like, I don't think Liam knows how to come second. Is that
No,
him?
yeah, he's first in class, is big, but he's just a big teddy bear.
Pax. From Red Rising.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
That's a trope I can get behind.
Ooh.
Yeah, Pax dies.
But yeah, he's great.
Spoilers!
Like, best choice for bodyguard for Violet. They don't clash that much.
Yeah, because Zaiden doesn't want to get his hands dirty. Cap says, I don't know if this was me misreading, but as Zaiden's cousin, Bodhi, how Bodhi was described, I pictured him as black, which was weird given her description of Zaiden. I think it's like very dark features, so like black eyes, black hair, and I'm guessing reasonably tan skin. But I think that you can kind of like choose which way you want to go with that, maybe. It's vague enough. Yeah, Bree says he very well could be. Sometimes cousins don't even look related. J. Rock says, it seems like Rhea is the most put together character, even though she isn't even fleshed out quite yet. Yeah. Vaden says, Zaiden is muscular and tall with windblown black hair and dark brows. He has warm toned, tawny skin with dark stubble along his jawline, and his eyes resemble the shade of a gold-flecked onyx. Does that even exist? Is that even real?
I'm sure it's possible. There's all sorts of strange, interesting eye colors or
Baden, find me a pair of those eyes online and I'll shut up. I don't think you can.
Challenge accepted.
Terry says mixed marriage gives different looking cousins. Yeah. Bree says I would run from someone with onyx eyes, to be honest. Bree, I'm so glad you said that. I used to have a boss and her eyes were fucking black. You could not differentiate between her eye color, the iris, and the whatever the middle part is, the black part. They were the same color. And I would look at her and I felt like I was literally being drawn into a vortex, a black hole. If I looked at them for too long, because she had blonde hair and fair skin. Let me really paint the picture here. It was unsettling. But there you go. Shout out to everyone with brown eyes here, really dark brown eyes. I'm sure they look so beautiful on you. You're not my ex-boss, though. Toaster Poster says, is this supposed to be more of a romance book or more of a fantasy book? I can forgive the lack of world building if our focus should be on the romance. Great question. Who'd like to answer? I think it's supposed to be a fantasy book first, but because this is a new genre for Rebecca Yarros, she's falling back into default of what she knows the best, which is romance. There you go. That's a good answer, isn't it? Thierry's nodding. Good. Bree says, I don't even think the book knows. Dave Bart Rock says, I had a coworker wear cat eye contacts once and she got sent home because she was freaking everybody out. Okay, who in the group chat would be most likely to do that? Say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Robin. You've got kitty ears on. It is a step away.
Just because I have kitty ears and a Hello Kitty back here doesn't mean that I would put contacts in to make my eyes look like cats.
Not even if you dress up as a cat for Halloween?
Then I would, yeah. That makes sense.
And no one else would. So, no. Iconic behavior. We like that. Okay. Avery says, I think it's technically a romantasy, but it feels like it doesn't know. Okay, there you go. Next questions. What do we think about Dain? Here we go. Once she's on campus, she finds Dain, childhood best friend, who tries to convince her to switch into the scribe's quadrant, but she refuses. So instead, he puts her into his squad so he can protect her. But his squad ends up being under Zaiden's wing, so Zaiden would have direct access to her and could punish her for any minor rule infraction, however he saw fit. Before her first class, Dain tells Violet that his signet is the ability to read people's recent memories. Talk about invasive. During her first class, she stands out because she asked the correct strategic questions that no one else in her year thought of. My question, what do we think about Dain? What are his motives and intent? But why is it not good at all? Who would like to take that one? Who have we not heard from for a bit? Lisa!
I hate him. Like, I cannot stand him. Like, at first, he came off like a protective friend, but then it's like the more he talks, the more I just want to, like, strangle him.
He just becomes ignorant to his own pursuit. You know, like, it's not a conversation. He's bulldozing with what he thinks is best. And even when he asks her, what are you doing? Like, you know, you shouldn't do this. She's like, I think I'm going to do it. No. When we bypass into, I feel like I'm doing this because I want to look out for you and I want to protect you. When they say, I don't like that, or I don't agree with that, and that person keeps doing it, we are getting into emotionally abusive behavior. This is someone who believes that they can control you because they want to protect you. And even if they think they have good intent with it all, when they will not change their view and will not let this person be their own person, and their decision is trumping this person's integrity, their own sort of right to exist, that's
and like
red
when
flag.
she was attacked, and she tells him she was there. That what I can't remember the girl's name.
Amber.
And yeah, like she was there. She let them in, and he's like, no, tell him you're wrong. Tell him that.
I reckon he and Amber had a little bit of nookie because they get really hot over the fact that there are rules that can be followed, and that's foreplay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just
He's worse than Jacob in Twilight.
I know, and Jacob's whole problem was absolute possession and controlling. And actually his problem was consent. I want to do this. And she's like, no thanks. And he's like, okay, cool, I'm going to do that. And she's like, I literally said no thanks. And he's like, great, watch me do it. How is that different? It's not. We got puppies. Thierry, you were kind of going with my analogy of Dain's behavior and how it was getting into sort of emotional abuse. Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, like I just said, he reminds me of Jacob in Twilight.
Yeah.
But
It's so
worse.
funny. It's so funny watching those movies back. As soon as I forget them and like I have a long weekend or something, I'm like, I wonder I forget what happens. I'll watch it again. And with like an adult lens of someone who's been through a lot of therapy, it's so interesting to see that this is actually a little bit more Edward. Edward is, I want to protect you more than anything else. You are fragile. I am way more strong. I'm way more smart. I'm going to condition you to depend on me and be codependent and rely on me. But I'm not going to take any of your thoughts or any of your wants or needs into consideration. I'm just going to decide for you. And then I'm going to gaslight you and I'm going to zip off and I'm going to make you think that I've died because I can't have a conversation with you. I can't believe I remember all of the fucking Twilight shit. But Dain, I think Dain gets more and more problematic. Like initially you're kind of like, he's her best friend. He doesn't think that she's capable. He's grown up with her. You know, it sounds like she would trip over a broken twig, you know, like he's just really trying to look out for her. But the more blindly obsessive over this notion, even when he's provided more and more evidence against of the contrary, she keeps passing the test, so he doubles down. And I feel like a true friend will support what you want to do. And she's thriving and he's not celebrating her wins. He's literally doubling down that it could all go wrong. And he keeps moving the goalposts as well. She keeps getting stronger and stronger. And so it's very deeply unsettling. But let me read out some of the comments about what they think of Dain. Lisa, I want to strangle him. Bree, is swearing allowed? Stargirl, he's the worst. Jay Buntrock, he won't let love screw up his career. Kane, Dain's a twat. Thierry, Dain is worse than Jacob in Twilight. Hiyoko, my brain shuts down every time he shows up because I just want him to leave Violet alone. Crunchy, I heard someone describe him as Dean from Gilmore Girls. Bree, imagine your best friend loving rules and regulations far more than they love you. Chris, he can't even see what she's becoming, how she's improving. Fatal Flower, I liked him at first, but really do not like him as the book has progressed. I'm starting to wonder if he's going to turn into the bad guy. Stargirl, at least Dean had some redeeming qualities. Dain has none. Lindsay, at first he didn't bother me, but when she started to prove him wrong, I was cheering her on, and then he started to bulldoze her. Crunchy, yeah, it really sucks as the book goes on. Bree, he would let Violet die before he breaks a rule, and that's insane. Avery, also, Dain can read recent memories, which is okay, but the guy who could read minds gets murdered immediately? How is that different? Barnaby says Dain treats her as a disabled childhood friend that needs protection rather than helping her push against her own boundaries, which makes him a bad friend and a bad leader. Fatal Flower says, right, why hasn't Dain been murdered? Lindsay, when he didn't believe Violet about Amber, I lost it. The fact that he demanded her memory. What a terrible person and friend. Toaster Poster, Zaiden had it right. Dain should be teaching Violet how to survive and not trying to control and to protect her. Bree says that mind reading guy didn't deserve his fate. True. And then there's some times that I swear. Good. Vaden, Dain is terrible, but I'm guessing something happened in the past where someone he loved died. It doesn't excuse his actions, though. Yeah. And the fact that he then ends up contradicting himself, where he has spent this entire half of the book going above and beyond trying to control Violet in the bid to protect her. And then when there is an assassination attempt on her life, which is in fact a breach of conduct where they're not allowed to attack students sleeping, he chooses to not believe her. Make it make sense. I reckon he's been dipping into Amber's pond. I reckon he got rejected. Oh, I can't do that because it's against the rules. And so he was like, Amber is part of the rules. I can go there. Anyway.
I feel like I remember earlier in the book when she first got like across the parapet or whatever and was getting introduced to people. I feel like they kind of mentioned somebody. It might have been Amber was looking at her kind of upset because she was talking to Dain. and was like looking jealous.
Right.
So
She's like, we're just friends.
That might have been her.
Okay, got
It
it,
might
got
have
it.
been her.
And that explains why she wants to kill Violet and take her out of the picture, but it doesn't explain. Oh, Dain just sucks. But it's getting so ridiculous at this point. Like it's becoming a really 2D character, if I may, because it's not making sense. Avery's like, yes. It's becoming. I don't know. I think we had a great conversation, Vaden, over in Fable, where it was like Dain is reminiscent of Tamlin, if you've read A Court of Thorn and Roses, whereas Zaiden is a little bit more Team Rysand. Now, if you don't know what that means, initially the love interest for our protagonist of The Court of Thorn and Roses was someone who was hell-bent set on protecting her. Didn't think she was strong enough. Discount Rhys. Thank you. You do a little shadow thing? Mm-hmm. King of Darkness. Okay, but whatever. Cap says, big Tamlin energy for real. Avery says it's sad when the guy supposed to be her arch nemesis cares more about her than the best friend. Yeah. And I want shades of morality. I want this to be super gray. I think like when you dance within the gray here, where he's like, I do want to help you. I'm struggling with this. Like there's a little bit more compromise, but it's just so black and white to the point where it just stops making sense. And I remember writing in Fable as well, just thinking it's so interesting that the two bits of advice that she's getting while she's at a dragon academy where she could die every day and people want to kill her for numerous reasons. You've got the best friend saying, run, hide, disappear. That's not a survival technique, really. That's, I think, cowardice. That's not a skill set that you can use to face these problems. Whereas Zaiden's like, hey, I've seen you throw daggers. You're good at that. Throw a few daggers at his head and shut him up. And so she does that. But this is someone going, I see you. You're actually not pathetic. You're not weak. You've got skills that can help you. Work into that. And he's training her on the floor and he's whispering in her ear, you can't keep poisoning people. That won't last forever. And you're also not getting good time on the mats to be able to train and get better. And so he's whispering things in her ear going like, maybe you have to take the death strike, you know, maybe you have to puncture a lung with your dagger. Maybe you have to play as dirty. And he's actually helping her improve her chances to survive.
Yeah, like I think Zaiden's case, like he's trying to help her improve in the long term. It's like, because they said he can only, you, for the poison thing, you can only do that for so long. You need certain circumstances to do that. You can't rely on that in a war or something. So he's hoping to help her in the long term so she becomes strong and she reaches her potential, because he has faith in her, even from the beginning, even though he doesn't like her. And then, but Dain's opposite. He likes her supposedly, but he doesn't trust her at all for some reason. And he's thinking only in the short term. Like he's trying to get her out of there temporarily, but he's thinking, like she said, even if he gets her out of there, it won't matter because his mom will just drag her back in there anyway. So it's pointless. And he keeps trying, even though he knows it's not going to work. So he just,
you cannot care about someone and control them at the same time. Those.
That's very similar to that series, the Court of Thorn.
Yeah, that's the whole Tamlin thing. And he had to learn that the hard way. But I think that Sarah J. Maas does a much better job of providing those shades of grey. Tamlin's got a lot of, like, Tamlin's entire court was cursed. He feels responsible for that. He doesn't want that to happen again. Like there was a lot more substance to it. Dain's kind of understanding, if you like. So it just for me personally, it stopped making sense. Bree said Boy Scouts are at least taught to be helpful. That's in response to Thierry saying Dain is a Boy Scout that lives by the rules and will probably die by them. Bree said Dain could have locked it down if he wasn't so blind. And I have to read it out. Lisa says Zaiden is a shadow daddy like Rhys. Something about it. As soon as like my power of shadows, I was just like, well, here we go. We all know what that means. What do we think about the signets? Which one's the best one? Which one's the worst one? How much of real estate do signets have in your brain while reading this book? No. I actually thought it was a cool part of it. It's like X-Men. Everyone's got their own like unique power. I think that the characters know more about it than we do. are talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, we all know that's what it was. Oh, you die if you don't manifest your powers within 6 months. You die painfully. You basically combust. Oh, that's another thing that you should be frightful of instead of trying to get into each other's pants. Next question. Zaiden. Let's talk about our shadow daddy right now. So he starts off being the warning. Do not go near him. And then she kind of stumbles upon this meeting. Well, then she sees him and she's like, oh my God, he's the hottest person I've ever seen. But then she stumbles upon this meeting. We learn that he's a part of not the resistance, the renegades, the rebellion. Basically, his father spearhunted this rebellion and they were traitors. And it was her mother that killed him as a traitor. And so all the children have to wear this sort of mark that they are the child of one of the traitors. So he's meeting with a bunch of the traitors' children's, and they're all congregating. Now, this is a law break straight away. No more than 3 people can meet together, and there's a group of them. And she's listening and overhearing this little meeting that they've got going. And basically, Zaiden's looking out for everyone. He's like, hey, who's falling behind? Who needs help? And they're kind of talking about it. One kid panics, and this is the first time I have seen a realistic response to being thrust into a situation where extreme fear of dying is shown. And then you kind of see the response that it has. But we need it way more than that. And you realize that he's actually just looking out for people. And then he obviously recognizes that Violet was there and they have a little exchange. Hey, thanks for not telling on me. I owe you a favor. And that's a pretty big deal. And she's kind of understanding, going, yeah, I guess they broke the rules, but he's actually not doing anything bad. And God, am I starting to admire this guy? And she overheard him say, no one kills Violet. I'm going to handle that one. Didn't say kill, said handle. We like vague terminology. What does that really mean? That one was a little bit of a predictable moment for me, Avery, I will admit. I was like, he's not gonna kill. There's more to that. But we are starting to see a lot of character development in the first half of this book with Zaiden, going from being the guy you must avoid to realizing he's not that bad, to the fact that he's starting to help and support Violet when Dain will not, to the dragon situation, and he stops the 3 guys from killing Violet and killing the gold dragon Andara. And then right at the end of this halfway part, he realizes that the Tan and Segale are together. That means that those 2 are connected, and now he has to protect her so that she doesn't die, which is exactly what Dain was trying to do. But this makes sense. So who wants to talk to me about this arc of Zaiden and predict, I guess, where it's going to go if you haven't read it? Team Zaiden.
I feel like we all kind of know where it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I don't want to be in this situation. Well, I don't either. Yes, you fucking do. This has actually worked out real nice for you 2. But we've got enemies to lovers, and we're getting like what is it? The trope where it's like confined, like forced confinement kind of thing. That's another trope, isn't it? I'm looking straight at you, Lisa. Yeah, Avery's
Like
already nodding.
Forced proximity.
Yeah, forced proximity. Yeah. Where do you sit with the rules of abiding by the set rules or doing what you can just to survive? Where is your barometer, I guess, on that? Do I say barometer properly? Someone once, I think, made fun of me for it. And now I'm second guessing. Yeah, barometer. Beerometer. Oh, beerometer. I could have a beer.
No, the barometer is something completely different.
Yes, that is how I say it. What? KP Dubs in the house, everyone. KP Dubs is in the house. Avery says, I'm assuming that whatever happens in the rebellion, General Sorengale was actually in the wrong and the Tyr had the right to fight back. We're right to fight back. Ooh, interesting. Bree says they're literally punishing the son for the sins of the father in this world. Your parents didn't agree with the government. You get a scarlet letter forever. Bartleby actually said, what signet would you want? Signet 1, I can command fire. Signet 2, I can control the wind. Dean Signet, I can see what you did 2 hours ago, but only if I touch your face. That's because he's a little bitch. Starving. Why can't hot men fall into my lap the way that they do in fantasy books? Literally, Brie, they're called fantasy books. They're just all about fantasies. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Oh, Brie's going to be so welcome here. Brie, please join the Discord. Trust us. There's a lot of us that feel this way. We would love to have you in here. Yes, how convenient that their dragons are also mates. I kind of love that they're angry about it. Where does everyone sit with the rules? Are you a stickler for the rules? Do you think rules are there for a reason, or because everyone's trying to kill you and you could die easily? You just do what it takes to get through. Show initiative.
Rules are there to be broken.
No. Oh no. Chris in the show chat has photoshopped my eyes into black eyes. Kill it with fire. That is... I didn't like that at all. Oh, black holes. 2 black holes on my face. Sorry, what were you saying? I interrupted. Someone was saying something. I apologize. Okay, moving on to the next. The rules. Someone was talking about rules. Tiri, was that you? Vaden, was that you?
Yes.
Tell
Rules
me.
are meant to be broken.
Good.
They're meant to be broken.
Great.
Well, so
Or banned.
I just see Robin be like, go on.
Vaden was going to say something too.
Go, Vaden.
okay, just quickly, yeah, I'll just basically, yeah, rules are there for a reason in general. Like, most time there's good reasons for them, but a lot of times they do need to be bended at times, and you know there's exceptions to most reasons. You just have to, you know, it has to be rare. Then you can't just be like, oh, it's only an exception when I feel like it.
I think if the rules are supposed to apply to everyone and someone feels like they're better than the rules, like I got real shitty when COVID was like 2020 rampant and we were doing an exercise class outside, spaced, like even still, and masks were mandatory. And there was this woman who kept pushing her mask down because she was inconvenienced by it. And I'm like, we're all doing it. And I got mad because I'm just like, you're not special in this moment. Like, I'm going to regulate the shit out of you because you don't feel like the rules apply to you right here. I understand that it's like not a huge deal, but then it was. And so like with that, yeah, that rule's not really meant to be broken. And I feel like if it's like an everyone kind of has to do it, we're all in this together, you know? But if there's something that's like, if there's an innovative look at a rule that doesn't hurt anyone else, and it's like a smart way to do it, like, was me cheating in every single test of my first high school year good? No. Did it teach me real life skills? Yeah. There's some cheating where it's not hurting anyone, and it's just like, you know, if you smile nicely at driver's test, like...
Well, I think it's also like whether you look at the rules as just as the rules are written or the spirit of the rules. So sometimes the spirit is more important.
Yeah,
It's
the
like-
spirit of the rule.
Well,
But
the
I-
issue with this, though, is that this is a military school. Like, you need to follow the rules or people die.
Regiment.
And which doesn't make sense why they're okay with people dying. Like, wouldn't you want more bodies to throw at the enemy?
Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, so far, this is a war, right? And we've heard about healers, but like, you only become a healer if you, like a proper healer, if you get a dragon and that signet becomes a healing property. But like, instead of these people dying unnecessarily or being murdered or whatever, they could patch a bandage. Like, you'd have a whole medic squad of you know, abled people who could help everyone else, because apparently it's so easy to die on a dragon. You've got scribes, but that's it. You've got killer camp or scribes, and it's like, whoa, there's so much more needed for that. You can be a great general and not be on a dragon. You could have like a brilliant schematic mind, but you know, your wrists were a little bit weak and you couldn't mount the dragon, but it didn't mean you didn't have a brilliant mind. There's so much more they could have done with it. So much more I could have done with it. By the way, I passed my driving test like flying colors, by the way. I'm a very good driver. I happen to be incredibly funny, and he liked my jokes as well.
Back in the Navy, we would always have the phrase, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I really think that sometimes cheating it does show a level of ingenuity and dedication to want to win. What's the point of war? You want to win? I don't know. I've never been in one, and I don't want to joke about war like that. But this is fantasy with dragons and griffins, so I feel like the goal is to need to win. Next questions, final questions. What worked and what didn't work so far in our story? We already know that. Predictions for the next half. What's Tan's power? If you've read the book, don't tell me. If you haven't read the book, what's Tan's power gonna be? Oh, thank you, Darren. Just saw your comment.
Well, it seems like Taryn has telekinesis because he can hold Violet into place. But I think the power manifests differently in the writer depending on who they are at their core, I think they said.
Well, she can stop time with Undana, which is very powerful. And that has to be kept under wraps because that might be the new, what did you call it, Baden? Ignita? What's it called?
Intrinsic.
Intrinsic. I just won't stick into my head, that word. Tan is the black dragon who is the most powerful. Tan's signet is horn dog effect. Putting the lust in lackluster. I really had to think about that for way too long. Toastpost says, I don't know. What I would gain if I followed the rules in this universe, but I think rules should be important. Darren, there is a different quadrant for general infantry. Please tell me about that, because that went over Bree and my head.
Yeah, because they mentioned it once at the very beginning and never again.
How are we supposed to retain anything that was said in the beginning of this book?
I guess they conscript people and like the general people all just get shoved into infantry to be fodder, I guess. I don't know. But it's mentioned at the very, very beginning and then never again. And,
hey, we don't even know what's happening with first, second, or third wing either. Like, where'd they go? What are they doing? We don't know. What do they do? Not sure.
The Dragon Riders are supposed to be the elites of the elites, so I guess they're given more leeway to do other things, and
hence why they're quadrants. Avery, thank you.
Serving more freely.
Quad.
But
the quadrants are riders, scribes, healers, and infantry. Thierry gives us a big warning. If you haven't read the second half of this book, do not read part 2 in public if you are prone to turning red in the face, depending on the book content. Third wing got dissolved because they lost too many people, says Jay Buntrock. When did that happen? What? Do these dragons canonically have 4 wings? Great question. What's Tan's power? No one knows. Okay, cool. Those that do know, is it like, was that also predictable, or was it kind of like cool? Just don't tell us, but like just indicate. Was Tan's power predictable, or is it pretty cool? It's not cool or not predictable? It's not predictable. It is cool?
It's cool and not predictable.
Okay. Well, Avery, what do you think it is first? Because she's predicted everything so far. So what do you think Tan's power is?
I'm gonna lie, I haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
But I would laugh hysterically if it had to do with light.
Light.
Because of the shadow thing, like shadow and bone. Like I've seen that trope too many times.
Okay, shadow and
no,
light.
I haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
To be honest.
No, neither have I. I mean, honestly, I just switched off and I'm like, why don't you just tell me what it is? Like, yeah. There's a prediction here. Someone wrote it. Zaiden continually trying to teach Violet, and his meeting with the other rebellion relic kids makes me wonder if he's trying to convert her to a cause involving all of them. Perhaps the rebels of the past were trying to help Navarre in their own way before they were cut down by corrupt leaders. I reckon Mum's corrupt and she's trying to get her daughter in it so she can get more a spy. Oh, that's interesting. Violet's going to be asked to spy by her mum on her boyfriend, soon to be. Okay, that's interesting. Some cool quotes, though. A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is... A rider without their dragon is...
Dead.
Thank you, Vaden. The right way isn't the only way. I like that. Strength of courage is more important than physical strength. Yeah, but she's just not. All right, your homework is to finish the book. It's Star Wars, but with dragons, says J. Bunt Rock. She'll be able to manifest light in the form of a saber. Oh, I actually have 2 lightsabers. Literally there. You can see it just a little bit. Finish this book. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to meet back up to talk about the rest of the book. If you do want to have chapter breakdowns, make sure you're following on Fable. It is a free book club app. We have chapter breakdown discussions. You can also read the first 4 chapters for free if you want to check out this book. Vaden said 10 woke up Violet before she was murdered. Maybe 10's power is precognition. Okay. Bree says, I can't wait to finish all my strong thoughts and opinions in the next meeting. If you do want to join the Discord, we're all going to be chatting about the book there. If you want to support this book club, because we actually have graphic designers, we have a community manager. She makes sure that there's lots of stuff happening on social media and that I'm doing my job right. We're doing lots of giveaways. We try to get the authors on board for a Q&A. Don't forget, next Wednesday, if you've read Gundog, join us for a Q&A with Gary Whitta. Our Patreon has 3 different tiers. You can be a member plus, or in the merch member. Members get double giveaway options when we do the giveaways. You get the full Discord opened up to you as well. If you want to join in the show, like our lovely member pluses, lovely member plus members. No, I'll figure that out. If you want to be plus-tastic, there's a tier for that one. You can join in the community. The really cool part about that group is that when I say goodbye to you, we're all going to put our videos on and have a cool little chat for half an hour or so and have a little breakdown and say all the shit that we didn't say on here. Haha. We've got a cool community though. They're really great people. So if you want to get involved with that one, a lot of fun. Pluses, place. Barnaby says, being a member plus, it's addictive. And addictive. Oh, additive. I ruined your joke. Additive and addictive. True. Not wrong. If you want free merch that you help design with our graphics designer, we're working on the next one at the moment. We're doing a little space themed one, I believe. You get free merch that you can't actually buy. And the merch, I'm seeing it on 2 people. Looks pretty spiffy. We dig it. You can check those out at patreon.com/Maude's Book Club. If you just want to join the Discord, feel free to do that. If you want to follow us on social medias where we're talking about book questions all the time. We love chatting about your book count of the year, favorite genres, favorite characters, especially in sci-fi and fantasy. Join along on those adventures. If you want to learn more about the club, maudesbookclub.com. You can also see the past and previous books that we have covered. I think that's everything, Tess. And in October, it's Stephen King. Yes, we're going to be reading Fairy Tale. Any Starfield streams, Maude? I have it on Xbox. I have finished Baldur's Gate. I guess I could put it on PC. I want to see if I'm going to enjoy it first. Okay, let's raid. Who should we raid into? Steph raided me earlier, which was really, really lovely. Whose day can we make? I like to say. Do you want to check out some Starfield or some Baldur's Gate or some Starfield or some Baldur's Gate or some Starfield? Or do we want to go into Critical Role? 7,000 people watching. Thank you, Thierry, for being here and not watching that. He's like, that's okay. Is there anything for non-fiction readers? Macaroon granola. I really should do like a little recommendations moment after it. Yes, I've got plenty of non-fiction books that I've enjoyed reading. I am a big fan of self-development. I don't need help, but I can improve. That sounds like someone who really needs help, doesn't it? Screams, I could use some help. I've just finished a couple of books. The one I'm listening to at the moment is 101 essays that everyone needs to read. But then I did a little research on Goodreads, and apparently she's just basically taking other people's work and getting credit for it. So we don't like that. But the essays are kind of interesting. The books that I really liked are Outlive. It talks about the main 4 diseases that most people will get when they get older, and the preventative measures that you can take to not have that, or to at least prolong it and have a healthier quality of life for longer. If you need more nonfiction books, I recommend Atomic Habits. What other books do I like? I read What Happened to You, which is an Oprah Winfrey team up with a child trauma therapist specialist, which I thought was so interesting. Instead of saying what's wrong with you, you ask what happened to you, because obviously you're a product of your surroundings and that makes up who you are. And I also have a cookbook. What's it called again, Thierry? Exandria Cookbook, which is nonfiction, and he made me add it on my Goodreads.
Exquisite Exandria.
Exquisite Exandria, which he's going to grab. He's going into his bookcase right now, and he's showing me that he has it too. Fantastic. If you need a sci-fi book recommendation, Gundog, you can order it right now. The hard copy is available, 10% off on Amazon right now. I posted a link in my story if you want to click that and buy it. My Instagram is @Maude Garrett, MaudeGarrett. If you need another, what other recommendations have we got? Thierry, did you freeze? That's amazing. We have another. No, you just stayed still for that long. If you haven't read Red Rising, now is the chance to do so. We've done the first 3 books in the series, and we'll be continuing Iron Gold in November, which is the 4th book. And then in December, we're continuing for books 3 and book 4 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. It is a game, lit RPG books that are incredibly funny by Matt Dinnerman. We had a Q&A with him last month, which was so fun. We're doing books 3 and 4, so read 1 and 2. Actually, listen to them. If you need an audiobook to listen to, please make it Dungeon Crawler Carl. They are such a good time. It is so cool. Bartleby Prime says, I'm saving all my caps lock for DCC. That's how they type. Bree says, if you like medical science stuff, read Stiff by Mary Roach. It's about what can happen when you donate your body to science. Oh my God. Can you give me cliff notes on that? Because I was always donate. I'm like, I'm dead. Do whatever. I'm dead. If it helps somehow, go for it. But if there's like a caveat for my what's my joke I'm trying to make? My brain hurts. If there's a caveat for my cadaver. There's a caveat for my cadaver. That needs to be the slogan. That's great. Crunchy Hairball says the sound booth version is so good. That's for Dungeon Crawler Carl. You are not wrong. Avery, you got your dad into Red Rising? Yes, keep us updated on that one for sure. Chris says good night. Toaster Poster said Tunnel 29 was pretty good. Sapiens, says Jay Buntrock, if you want a non-fiction book. Sapiens is amazing. Anyway, Macaroon Granola, I hope we've given you some great recommendations there. Thank you for letting me recommend. I love recommending books. What have I hit? 63 books, 62 books for the year so far? Getting to 90. Gonna make it happen. I've only got 3 more months. Bree says it's just all the various places that your body could end up and the history of body donation as well as burial options. Cremate me. We've got a recommendation channel on the Discord as well. And KPW's just got a new t-shirt idea and putting it in the Discord. Hell yeah, I like that. Who did we say? You said Travis McElroy? I like that. Baldur's Gate. We like Baldur's Gate. Travis. If you could just stay on for 30 more seconds and say hi and make his day, that'd be great. Travis McElroy. They've got follower or subscriber only chat. I might make it a little tricky, but that's smart. Oh, Macaroon Granola, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Panda Lukinas, thanks for the follow as well 16 minutes ago. I'm sorry, I forgot. And quickly, let's go say hi and see a bit of Baldur's Gate. Rating now. My goodbyes are just not really goodbye. It's just, and I'm gone.